Welcome. Today we're going to be making a butterfly card. These are folding butterfly cards made with print and cut. So let's get to it. So in order to make one of these butterfly cards, you start with the zip file that you download, and I have it downloaded here in my downloads folder. So we're going to start with just extracting these files. I'm going to right click and select extract all. And I'm going to browse to my favorite folder, in this case documents. I'm going to create a new folder here and just call it butterfly card. All right, I'm going to extract it here, and now we're going to select extract, and off you go. So we see now that there's a total of 9 different butterflies, each on their own card. And there's this handy overview file that we can open that shows us the different butterflies. So for today, we're going to do butterfly number 9, but any of these butterflies you can make. In order to make any of these butterflies, what you're going to need is 2 sheets of paper, cardstock paper, a sheet of paper that you're going to print on. I like to use the photo paper that's not too thick, so it can go through basically any printer. I've been using this Kodak Anytime picture paper. It's 165 grams or 44 pounds, so not too heavy, which makes it nice to actually be able to fold it. But you can use whatever you like, and goes through your printer. And obviously you're going to need some glue to put it all together. And I'm using the Aleena's Tacky Glue here. But any glue that works on paper will do. So in this particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to use Cricut Design Space to put this all together, and we're going to use a Cricut Maker in this particular case as well. But you can use any cutting machine to do this. All right, let's get started. All right, so we're going to open Cricut Design Space and start a new project. All right, so let's start by uploading the files into Cricut Design Space, and we're going to do that by selecting Upload, and then Upload Image. So there's going to be 2 files associated with each butterfly. We're going to browse for that, and let's browse to wherever we extracted the files to. In this case, Documents, Butterfly Cards. And we're going to go to Butterfly 9. So you can see there's 2 files. There's the actual butterfly that we're going to print out and then cut. And then there's the card that is associated with it that has 2 parts to it. And so we'll see that in a second. So let's start with the butterfly. We're going to open that. And since this is an image that we're going to print, what Design Space is asking us for is to basically define what the outline should be. In this particular case, and with all these butterflies, the outlines are very well defined. So we can just select Simple and select Continue. We can now further modify this image, which in this case is not needed. So we're just going to select Continue. And because we're going to be printing this out, we're going to select Print Then Cut Image. Now you can change the name here. I'm just going to leave it, and we're just going to select Upload. And that's it. That's all we need to do for the butterfly. Now, before we go on, let's also upload the card. So we're going to select upload again, select browse, and now select the Butterfly 9 card. All right. So you can see that it consists of 2 pieces of paper here. The cardstock for the outer side of the card, and then the inside of the card, and that's going to connect the butterfly up. So here we only have one option. We're going to cut this out. We can again rename this. I'm going to leave it as is and just select upload. All right, so now we got the card and the file for the butterfly here. We're going to select both of these, and then in the bottom right we're going to select insert images. All right, so it's going to insert both images. They're sitting on top of each other, so I'm just going to zoom out here a little bit, and I'm going to move the card's parts over to the side here. All right. Now we got the butterfly. The butterfly is basically ready to go, so we don't have to do anything there. There is no fold line on the butterfly because we're just very carefully, fold it gently by hand. Since this is printed, we're putting a scoring line on top of it is going to hurt the ink, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to do that by hand. The outer card and the inner card both have lines to indicate where we're going to be scoring. I'll show you this for the outer card here. This is the outer card. This line here in the center, that is a scoring line. Right now, it's set as everything else as a basic cut, and so we need to go change that. If you don't have a scoring wheel, if you're going to hand score, then please delete this line. Otherwise, it will cut your card in half. So we don't want that. So we're going to start. You can see that this is all grouped. We're going to ungroup this, and now select this line, and now change the operation here in the top left from basic cut to score. And you can see now that it's a dashed line, which indicates that it is a scoring line. All right, so we're going to select all of this for the outer part, and now attach all of this together so that it's all part of one card with a cutout and a score line. Now, if you want to change anything, now is the time before you do that. If you want to change the size of these butterflies, overall, the card, if you will, you can do that. Just remember that the butterfly, the card, and the outer card and the inner card are all aligned from their sizes. So if you're going to be resizing, resize all of it. But they're for me, they're a good size, so I'm not going to be resizing any of it. So I'm just going to select, and now select here at the bottom right, attach. And so what that does is it attaches all of these pieces together as one element that stays together. All right. We're going to do now, go to the inner cards, and you can see that there's two pieces to it. One for the left-hand side, one for the right-hand side. Both of them have score lines attached with it as well. So you can select any of the score lines here, but you can also, I'll show you another way as well. You can pick any of these score lines, select the operation, and change it to score, as we did before. The other way of doing it is just selecting any of these lines in the layers panel, and then do the same thing, change the operation from basic cut to score. And so the nice thing about using the layers panel is that it's very easy to do this without actually moving the line. You don't want to be moving these lines accidentally. All right, so we're going to do that for all 4 lines that are there and change them to score. So you can see now, and I'll zoom in a little bit here, that these lines are now score lines for both the left and the right card. All right, so what we're going to do again for each of the cards, we're going to make sure that the lines, the scoring lines, are attached to the actual card by again selecting all of these the parts, the card and the 2 lines, and selecting attach. The same thing for left card, and we're selecting attach. Again, if you don't want to do the scoring, you want to do the scoring by hand, then remove those lines before you actually start the cutting process. All right, I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. And so we got all our elements defined. Now, one more thing. We're using here white color for the inside, orange for the outside. Obviously, you can change that depending on which paper you want to use here. So that's purely up to you. And so I'm going to use colors that are pretty close to this. And what we're going to do next, we're basically ready to go here. We're just going to select Make It in the top right corner here. All right. So what's going to happen here is that we end up with 3 mats. One for the butterfly that we're going to first print out, and then we're going to cut. And then the second mat here is for the inner cards, and the third mat is for the outer part of the card. Now you can see that any of these items will work quite well on a 12 by 12 mat, but it will also work on an 8.5 or 8.5 by 11, like letter size card as well. Now, the main limitation here from a sizing perspective is your butterfly. There's a limitation with Cricut print and cut where this butterfly can't get too large. 6.5 inches is about the maximum that we got here. So just keep that in mind if you do change the size. Since we're not changing the size here, we're basically good to go. All right. So this is going to be printed out on 8.5 by 11 through the printer, and then we're going to put it on the mat. All right. So we got our 3 mats here, and all we need to do now is just select Continue. And because the first mat here is stated as print then cut, the first item on the list here of the steps to go through is to send this to the printer. And so we're going to send it to the printer, and that gives us this dialog. The first item here is going to be whatever printer you have that you want to send this to. We only want 1 copy. We like to add some bleed. The bleed really helps to make sure that there's, even if the cut isn't exact, that it's we're not going to see white on the cutout. So it's a good function to make sure that we get the perfect cut here. You could use a system dialog. We're just going to go ahead and print. All right, so here we go. We got our print from the printer. And what we're going to do next is we're going to grab our mat and put it on the mat. All right, so here's our mat. And as you can see on the on Cricut Design Space is that we want to put the printout in the same way on the mat as is shown on the preview for mat 1. So we want to align it in the top left corner and orient it in the same way as we see in the preview. So we don't want to turn it horizontal. It's got to be vertical, and in this case, the large wings go out to the right. All right, so we got this nicely lined up, and we can now place it into the Cricut cutting machine. All right, so we're now at the Cricut cutting machine, and we are going to just load the print in here. All right, it's ready to go. All right, so now we're at the second step where we need to select the base material. Now, normally you would select this as photo paper, which is what's selected here as well. But because we have some very fine details, especially around the body of the butterfly, I've had more luck with selecting cardstock for intricate cuts. So that's what I'm going to be using here, and that actually has been working well for any of the paper. The only thing is that it will actually cut the print and the paper in 2 steps. So it actually is trying to be more delicate about this. So I'm going to be using cardstock for intricate cuts. Whatever works for you, this one has been working well for me. So I already have the fine point blade inserted, so that's what we're going to be using. So all I need to do now is to select Go on the Cricut machine. All right, here's our butterfly. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the paper off of the mat. I'm going to use my trusty little weeding tool and just very carefully I'm going to take it off of the mat. You can see that these antennae of the butterfly got cut out really nicely, even though they were extremely thin there. And so intricate cut does that well. The cut on photo paper just wouldn't do that well for me. So we got the outside out. I'll have to just bend the mat a little bit here to get the butterfly off of the mat. So just very gently take it off, and there we have our butterfly. All right, so now we can go on to step number 2. And in order to do that, we're going to be cutting the inner cards here. So I'm going to put my white paper, in this particular case, onto the mat and just line it up. Off we go. This is a light cardstock that I'm using here. Again, you could use something else. It just needs to be able to fold, so don't go too thick on your or heavyweight on your cardstock. So off we go to now cut the inner cardstock. All right, so let's cut the inner cardstock, and so we're going to load the paper in the cardstock. And in this particular case, we're going to we have 2 steps that we're doing. We're doing the scoring and then the basic cut. And the scoring goes before the basic cut. So what we're doing is I'm going to switch out the cutting blade for the scoring blade. I'm just going to put that up here. This is a scoring blade. It has a little number 1 on there, meaning it's a single scoring line it will do. So we're just going to place that into the machine, and now we're ready to go. And so next, the indication here is to load the fine point blade. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The one that I just pulled out, I'm just going to put that in, close it, lock it in place, and select start again. All right, we now have our inner card ready, or at least it's cut. And so let's take this carefully off of the paper, off of the mat, I should say, and be sure that we don't tear anything. And all right, what I'd like to do is just cut this piece off that I'm not using, and then this can be reused for later. So I'm just going to put that off to the side. Again, use my trusty wheel tool to get the card off of the mat, and you can see the nice scoring lines here that are going to help us to fold this in place. I'm not going to do that just now. Let's see that when we do the assembly. And here we go. Let's carefully take that off. And so now we got the inner two pieces of the card. So let's just do the outer card. And so I got a nice orange here. It's going to make for a nice contrast for the butterfly, and on top of the white as well. All right, so this one is ready to go. Let's print out mat number 3, and then we got all our pieces together. Mat number 3, we're going to load it. And same thing here. Mat number 3 is both scoring and a basic cut. So we're going to start again with the scoring blade, taking out the basic cut tool or the fine point tool, and load the scoring blade. And close, and lock, and now we're good to go. That's it for the scoring. And now we're doing the cutting. Cardstock off of the mat. Again, just be gentle with the outside. That's easy. Again, I would cut this off so I can reuse this some other time. All right. So let's get the card off of there. And you can see the score line, and now gently around the butterflies, and off we go. And so the butterflies we're going to be using as well on the inside, and so we're reusing everything here. So I'm going to take these off as well. We're not going to throw these away. Reuse everything. All right, so we're done with the mat. I'm going to put that away, and now it's time to assemble. So this is where we need our glue and our different pieces. Now where we're going to start is actually with the butterfly. The butterfly, as I mentioned, we're not going to fold. We're just going to gently make sure that it folds just slightly. And so what we're going to do is just bend it basically, and bring the wings together here, and just gently press down so that we get a nice bend in here without it actually folding. If we did a hard fold, we may actually lose some of the ink here. We really don't need that. And so this is all we need to do here. So just gently bend it. Okay, we're going to put that off to the side. So we got two pieces of the card here, and this particular part is the right hand side. So the way this is going to come together is this is the front of the card. I'm going to just turn that around. This is going to be the right hand side. This is the left hand side, and these little wings are going to go on the wings. And so this is how it's going to come together. All right, so we're going to do this in pieces. And so the next step is to connect this wing part to the actual wing. And so to do that, we're going to make the fold here at the scoring line so that we get a nice 90-degree angle here between each of the parts. All right. And so next is we're going to attach this to the actual butterfly. And the way I like to do that, there's definitely some flexibility here of how you want to do it. But I like to do this where the body ends and the wing starts. That's where I like to have the wing come together here. Right? And so that's where I'm going to attach it. And we want to make sure that we're basically nicely aligned horizontally with the body of the butterfly here. All right. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue onto this wing here, and we really don't need a lot of glue. And so all we're going to do now is gently put this in place and line it up. And the less glue you use, the quicker it's gonna just get into place and stay there. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure that it's nicely lined up here and in place. All right, so once we got this done and are happy with the result, we're gonna move on to the second part. So we're gonna do the same thing, fold along the scoring lines here so that we get nice 90-degree angle folds, and just add a little bit of glue to the wing here, and off we go. All right, just going to check this one. So we're going to do this on the other side, and so I'm going to grab this, place it there. Just looking through here, through the card, I'll show you what I'm doing here. All right, so again, we're trying to line up horizontally with the body of the butterfly, and now also make sure we just line it up in the same direction and at the same height as the other side of the card. So now we got both pieces together, and we can move on to the next step. And so if we just put this down, you can see that it's already starting to fly here above the card. And so by placing these cards on the outer card, we're now going to have the whole piece together. So we're going to now fold the outer card. And so this again is the front here. And so we're going to fold it so that the front of the card actually is in the front here. All right, so we got that. Now we open it up to make sure we can get the inside of the card in there. And so this is going to be aligned like about there. Now, one thing to note here is that when we glue this down, just note that there's the butterflies here. So we don't want to put glue where the butterflies are. We just want to do it around the edge here so that there's no glue showing. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to gently put some glue on the outside here. Again, doesn't need to be much, just enough to hold it all in place. All right. So let's do that for side number 1. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to nicely align this on the outer card, and just checking for that the distances here at the top of the card, the side of the card, in the corner are all the same. That's really what we're looking for here to get the best effect. All right, so that one's done. Let's do this on the second side as well. Great. All right, just a little bit of glue. And again, let's align this to the corners here and make sure that we get a nice distance, even distance along all sides here. And you can see that the butterfly is really jumping off of the page, literally here. All right. Good. So we're almost done. Remember, we still have our 3. Where did my third here one? Little butterflies that we cut out of the outer card. The nice thing is that we can actually spruce up the inside of the card with these butterflies, just to give it a little bit more dimension. If you want to leave space for some text, for some handwritten text, obviously feel free to do that. But I like to just use the butterflies as we have them, and just place them in a nice composition here. So a little bit of glue, and I'm just going to place this one here. Same thing with the smaller ones. And the tiny one. Right, just a dot. Let's just do it. There's perfect. There you go. So you could leave it like this and just display it like that. Obviously, you can stand it up as well. And carefully, you bend it, you can close it, put it in an envelope, and be done. There is some tension on this. So if you really fold it flat, that may damage the butterfly, the ink there. But you know, you may be lucky. But I like to just leave that tension there, and so that nicely, once you open it up, that the butterfly is popping off of the off of the page here. There you have it. That's all there is to it to make these nice fold-up butterfly cards. Hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment and like this video, and I'll see you at the next one.